Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to an EverQuest lore video.
And now we will move on to the mother of all, Tunare. Tunare is the creator and mother of all elves. Tunare's followers believe, despite what anyone else thinks, that Tunare is the mother of all living things. As I had stated prior, she is not. They understand that not everyone accepts this ideology, but is their goal to protect and preserve the living, breathing world they inhabit, which I must say is a pretty noble goal. Tunare is one of the good, quote-unquote, deities, and so, you know, good or aligned with the forces of order, right? So you have this idea of good and evil, but EverQuest is not so much good and evil in terms of their black and white. It's more along the lines of order and chaos. And so Tunare would be aligned with the good or slash order side. Whereas we discussed Vishan and Brel, I would say they probably be more, and you know, this order chaos thing is more of a spectrum, I think, than it just being black and white and one side or the other. I think that the deities, some of them fall in between. Maybe we could say they're neutral, and that would undoubtedly be Brel. We had discussed Bristlebane, so we'll introduce him too as one of the neutral gods. I would say Vishan falls along the lines of neutral, but closer toward the chaos side of the spectrum. So continuing on, even though she is not a jealous goddess, most of the good elves, the wood elves of Kelethin and the high elves of Felwith. Now it's very important that we kind of understand these two groups of elves, because their history is going to be noted when their age comes up of them being the dominant race on Norrath. But the high elves tend to be the more noble, royal bloodline, if you will, of elves, and the wood elves are more of the natural in terms of nature, indigenous type of, you know, forest dwellers. They don't really subscribe to the marble castle like structure. They prefer to build using wood and materials that they can find in the forest to construct a large city built atop the treetops. And so that's very important to note, that these are two different kinds of, you know, one may have a monarchy or aristocracy or different kind of feel to their society, whereas the wood elves are more tribal, more in tune with nature. The hippies, if you will, like they're like the elven version of hippies. But the wood elves of Kelethin and the high elves of Felwith still honor Tunare. As a nature goddess, many wood elves follow the path of druid or ranger to better protect all living things, but the high elves prefer the more dignified forms of worship offered by the cleric and paladin. So even the way that they worship and even represent Tunare, it's very different, right? The druid and ranger is more of a nature's guard, whereas the high elves have a quote-unquote more dignified form of worship in their paladin and, you know, like the knighthood and, you know, the clergy. She does not discriminate against half elves either, though not even she can teach those inherently rebellious and flighty beings the way of the cleric. So very important to note that part right there, because half elves are half human and either half wood elf or half high elf. It's not clear, you know, more than likely the half elves are half wood elf. I would think that at least roleplay wise, high elves would find mating with humans to be beneath them and taboo at the very least. So half elves, one half of them, their human side, they can be clerics, and the high elves, which is, you know, the only kind of elf that can be a cleric, but the half elves don't have that ability. The game doesn't allow you to make a half elf cleric. You can make a druid. That's the only priest of the 3 priest classes you can make as a half elf. So I think that's a very interesting tidbit to know. A few human bards are also inspired by the sound of the natural world and honor her. Not just human bards, you have human druids and human rangers as well. But that's the synopsis on Tunare.